am Chasley Fortune, and today I'm going to do a presentation on my community needs assessment project. I did my presentation or my assessment through Selrico Services, who I interned with, and my preceptor was Rachel Bland. Okay, this is a little bit about Selrico Services and Pre-K4SA. It is headed by John Rick Alman, who founded it in 1989, and he founded it originally to help the international war that our country was having at the time. So he made dining facilities in the other countries like Afghanistan and Iraq to help support our troops. From then, he did expand it to most of the USA, so now we have 15 different locations that Selrico provides different services for, such as food service, janitorial services, operation and maintenance, and other, depending on the location. So in San Antonio specifically, we have the biggest contract with Pre-K4SA, and Pre-K4SA does help over 22,400 4-year-olds just in the past 8 years, and it is growing. And they focus really on professional learning and development for the children. So part of the services that they offer are providing the meals, of course, as well as a gardening program, a harvesting program, parent nutrition sessions, and produce markets that they put on for them. Okay, so for my community needs assessment, I did target the population for parents, caretakers, guardians of the 4-year-olds that were at the Pre-K4SA locations. The nutritional problem that I addressed was the extent of the knowledge and nutrition that these parents had and how these affected their eating habits. My nutrition statement that I went into, I did talk about early childhood nutrition and the importance, and about how the modeling that the parents did, as well as their eating habits, the way that they ran household as far as snacking and meals, how that affected children's eating habits, and how that then ran into their adulthood life. Okay, so for my parameters, I did assess the parents and guardians of those children that were 4 years old, specifically at the 4 different Pre-K4SA locations in north, south, east, and west of San Antonio. So it was throughout most of the city. I did target the lifestyle food choices, their knowledge of healthy nutrition, and their beliefs on what healthy diets are. So my first goal was to have guardians and parents plan a healthy meal for the family, and my objectives that I hit on this was the parents' knowledge of what healthy eating is, as well as their balance of protein, grains, dairy, fruits, and vegetables on the plate. And the other goal that I addressed was the practice of healthy eating habits within the home. And so my objectives for this goal would have been to assess the typical eating behaviors and ones that were common, as well as the types and availabilities of snacks. And so here's information about my background conditions, target population data, and community conditions. So I really addressed a lot of the cultural influence about what San Antonio has a lot of different cultures, and the Pre-K4SA specifically had a lot of cultures in there, which would be Hispanic, Caucasian, Indian, a whole bunch of different ones. So I looked into that information, food availability, careers, transportation, looked a lot about income, and then I also tried to look a little bit about common diets in San Antonio, what healthy diet trends were on social media and on the web, a little bit of the health beliefs between cultures, as well as what parents will feel pressure to do for their children as far as making habits, how often they should cook, eat out, what choices they make as well. Okay, going on to step 3, my data collection. I first focused on doing research for the San Antonio population because that was what the Pre-K4SA was with San Antonio. So here, some of the demographics, I found that 65% of the San Antonio population is Hispanic, followed by 25% white and 7% black. And then on top of that, I thought it was interesting to note that the percentage of people that are under 5 years old is 7%. That's 44.3% of households actually speak a language other than English, and I thought it was very interesting that 44.3% of the grandparents that are in San Antonio are actually responsible for their grandchildren that are 18 years or younger. In the middle section, I looked more at the environmental factors, and I talked about the food availability a little bit, so convenience store, grocery stores, and restaurants that are located, as well as transportation, so like the average transportation time of 23.8 minutes, their methods, as well as ones that commute on public transportation. And last, over at this side, I looked some more at the socioeconomic and other demographic conditions. So poverty, whites have the largest percentage of race in San Antonio that are in poverty, and that tends to be females between the ages of 25 and 34. We have finance. The average income is $46,000. For rent is $901, and for houses or condos is $126,000. And most of this information I got from the Census Bureau, from Citybase, and from some of the actual government websites. Okay, and then in addition, I also collected my own survey information and data specifically at the pre-K 4SA locations. So I took a survey at the West location specifically for this data, and I found that the largest percentage of people got groceries weekly, that they cooked at home for 3 to 5 days a week, or they ate out for 1 to 2 days a week. Those were the largest percentages. And we found the most common trend that people were interested in were portion control. And when they obtained their health and nutrition information, it first came from family and friends, and after that it came from social media and the internet. All right, so while assessing my population, I did notice that there was a large obesity epidemic. We have 38% and rising in San Antonio, and they predicted to still rise about at least 5%. And this, of course, leads to other conditions such as cancer, hypertension, heart disease, stroke, diabetes that cost millions of dollars in insurance every year just to try to pay for these. Some places that we can get services for in San Antonio, I have these listed here, which includes WIC, the Summer Texas Food Service, the Supplemental Nutrition Program, the Texas Temporary Assistance for Needy Families, and the Texas Unemployment Insurance. And I did list the benefits and disadvantages, disadvantages were often time or paying extra taxes, and then advantages would be providing financial aid for certain programs. It was for bills and for extra money for like housing and all that, and others it's extra money or resources for buying food. Okay, and then continuing into my executive summary and key findings. The key finding I found the most significant was that practices and information that the children get from their exposure or from the schools and everything tend to have a trickle-up effect with the parents, and that nutritional knowledge of guardians and their eating habits had a large impact on the behaviors of the children, which is why I was interested in this assessment. The executive summary, I did, of course, hit about the obesity epidemic and the other disorders and the conditions that follow with it. And then I did talk about the barriers of healthy eating, or factors that did influence the unhealthy eating, which tend to be time, job convenience, location, knowledge about health or knowledge of cooking, kind of laziness or just wanting to do something simple, as well as other limitations that maybe they felt that they weren't able to learn. Okay, for step 5, the people that were my key informants for this would first be pre-K 4SA, because they are the ones that I did do the assessment on, so I would definitely let the staffing and the parents let them know that what their information went into and how it benefited. I would also talk to Selrico Services, because they are the ones who helped me conduct my assessment. So Jennifer Sierra, who was the master gardener that was very directly involved with the children, as well as Rachel Bland and Eric Sanchez, because they were the heads of those feeding programs. And then I think the other people that would benefit from this information include the city government, like the Education Department, Human Resources, pre-K 4SA, of course, because it's their parents and they're going to get more of those types of parents. Selrico, because that is the people who they serve, as well as other private school systems and their food service programs, because of course they are being involved with it, and I think it'll benefit not just 4-year-old education programs, but ones that even elementary or middle school. Okay, and then here is an example of the infograph that I created. So on the front page, I put a lot of my demographic, community conditions, and such, and then on the other side, I have my my survey results that I put at the top right here, as well as my resources and the benefits and the benefit places and resources that families can get who need the help. Okay, so that does conclude my presentations. These are a bit of resources that I used in collecting my data information and my assessment, and I really am glad that you listened to my presentation. Thank you.